Hey guys, this is Nephis here. It's time to Nephis and chill, and in this video today I'm going to be going over a veteran Maelstrom arena build or setup for my Stamina Templar. I did upload a video recently of me doing a pretty slow flawless conqueror without sigils in veteran Maelstrom arena, and I've been doing some Templar on my streams as well on Twitch, and a lot of people have been asking me, oh, what's your setup, what's a blue CP, and so forth. So I figured I'd answer that in this video pretty quickly. So in terms of gear, actually before we go over to gear, in terms of stats, we are an orc. We do have, I think, 1 health enchant. You could do without the health enchant, but it's a little bit more riskier, especially for places like Arena 5, so I do recommend at least just 1 health enchantment to kind of push it up above 16.5 thousand health. In terms of stam recovery, it's not really significant, really 1200, but you are a Templar. You do have repentance, you have channeled focus, or rather rune focus, and you also do have other sources of sustain as a stamina DPS, like heavy attacking. In terms of weapon damage, you're gonna come around 5,000, almost 5,000 unbuffed. Buffed, it's gonna be obviously a bit more, as I'll show you guys right now. It's about 5,500. And in terms of weapon crit, it's going to be around 55%. Could be slightly higher depending on the sets you wear, which I'll explain in a bit. Resistances are unbuffed here, but once we buff it up, it's going to be a pretty significant mitigation here. It's actually pretty nice to be a Templar. You have the passive healing from Ritual Red, plus you get the minor mending, and plus you get the mitigation. In addition to the sustain, Templar is pretty nutty this patch. Alright, and in terms of penetration, you'll have 11.5 thousand physical pen. It's a little low, and that's what I'm going to go into. In terms of the Mundustone, in the video I had the Shadow, I believe, or the Lover, it doesn't really matter, but it was an unoptimized run. But in this video I'm going to show you how to optimize it a bit more. We have the Lover, which gives us an extra 4,000 pen. In terms of food, we do have RTM takeaway broth, so that's what you probably want to use, or what I use rather. In terms of monster set, if you're having trouble sustaining, I would recommend 2 Grundwulf. If you don't have any trouble sustaining, which you really shouldn't as a Stamina Templar in BMA, you can have Selene's. Selene's is a big deal of burst damage. Now you do have 2 options now in terms of the primary 5-piece. You can go Vicious Ophidian, and I do recommend this for people who aren't familiar with Maelstrom Arena or are having trouble sustaining because they're playing really safe, vigoring, and all that. But Vicious Ophidian is really good in veteran Maelstrom Arena. You get the 5-piece active pretty much all the time as you're killing stuff. It also gives you a cost reduction as well by 8%. And this in addition to your Restoring Light passive, or Restoring Spirit passive, which reduces the cost of your abilities by 5%. It's a pretty big deal for a Stamina Templar. However, I do recommend, if you want to optimize your runs a bit, definitely go Nightmother's Gaze, which does offer you a major fracture. Plus, it doesn't give you the cost reduction, but it does give you more penetration, which you'll most likely need in the in the arenas. Specifically, if you watch my Flawless Conqueror video, I slow down quite a bit on certain parts and certain arenas, mainly arenas 4, 7, 8, sometimes arena 9, because of how resistances work in Maelstrom Arena. So different mobs do have different spell and physical resistances. I'm not gonna be talking about the spell resistances. I'm gonna be talking about the physical resistances. So some mobs do have cap resistances, which is around 18,300 resistance in terms of physical. Bosses on Arena 4, 7, and 8, they do have max resistances as well. The crystals, especially if you're not going to do the ghost burn on the last boss, they also do have cap resistances. That's why in that video you'll see a lot of slowing down on the DPS, and the reason for that is because I am severely under pen, and that's why I'm recommending Nightmother's Gaze. And with Power to Light in consideration, which gives you another 1300 penetration, with the Lover Stone, you're gonna be at the ideal penetration. And you might be asking yourself, well, Nephis, why would I want to why would I over penetrate for everything else, but would a knight want to over-penetrate, or rather under-penetrate, just 3 bosses or 3 parts of Maelstrom Arena and not over-penetrate on the mobs for the rest of the arena? It's not a real big deal. The mobs will just really like melt. It doesn't really matter if you over-penetrate. In fact, the average resistances for most mobs in Maelstrom Arena is around 12,000. Some are around 9,000, some are a little higher, but typically, in terms of physical resistances, most mobs are around 12,000. So it doesn't really matter. What matters is you speed up these certain fights that are gonna save you at least a couple minutes, at least a few minutes actually, if you take into account if you want to, you know, improve your score in time. Definitely I would recommend the Lover and Nightmother's Gaze instead of Vicious Ophidian. The secondary set I am going to recommend here is New Moon Acolyte, and I do strongly recommend keeping New Moon Acolyte as your secondary piece, or secondary fight piece, because New Moon Acolyte, it's just really good. It gives you free penetration, which will help with your penetration overall throughout Veteran Maelstrom Arena. Gives you weapon crit, weapon damage. Plus, it also gives you a pretty significant chunk of weapon damage on its 5-piece. It does, however, increase the cost of your active abilities by 5%. It is noticeable to use New Moon Acolyte in Maelstrom Arena, but the sustain shouldn't really be an issue because you are going to be using stuff like Repentance. If you're not, you don't really need Vigor actually as a Templar, but Repentance is a huge sustain method. You also do have Restoring Focus, giving you stand back every second you're in it. And in terms of cost of abilities, Templar, Biting Jabs, Pottle, these are really cheap. Like, look at the tooltips. 1377 for an ability that goes off every 6 seconds. 1858 for a spammable while your dots are down. I mean, these dots are like 12 to 14 seconds each. So it's like, the sustain should not really be an issue, as I said. So definitely you can do Vicious Ophidian, New Moon Acolyte, or Nightmother's Gaze with New Moon Acolyte. And you're going to be using Damage Health Poison number 9 on the front bar. In terms of traits for jewelry and stuff, I would probably do 2 infused, 1 bloodthirsty. I just have a robuster, just for whatever. But I would do 2 infused, 1 bloodthirsty, personally. Not 3 infused, because, you know, you gotta get things to... Once you get bosses to execute, the bloodthirsty will help out a bit. In terms of traits on the weapons, Nernhone on the main hand, it can be, you can do like double daggers depending on your weapon crit rating, but it's really up to you. So you can do double daggers with 1 axe and 1 dagger, Nernhone on the main hand, Sharpen on the offhand. If you're not going to use New Moon Acolyte, I would recommend putting Sharpen on both weapons. In terms of Maelstrom Bow, you have the weapon damage enchant infused, and that's pretty much it. In terms of champion points, I will be showing you guys here. It's, well, you can do, well, the CP is on my website, but I'm going to be primarily going over the blue CP. You can do 66 Master at Arms, you can do 18 Thaumaturge, 61 Precise Strike, 61 Piercing, 64 Mighty. And this is literally just raid CP, but it's still applicable to Maelstrom Arena. If you want to invest a bit more into piercing, I would recommend taking a little bit more out of Precise and Mighty to make up for it. Thaumaturge isn't really a big deal this patch, especially in Maelstrom Arena. Maelstrom Arena, things like so fast, it's just not really worth recasting dots for a lot of spawn points. So you could even get away with lower, in my opinion, from Thaumaturge. In terms of skills, we have this typical front bar setup. I would just keep this entire front bar setup. Flawless Dawnbreaker, Camouflage. These 2 abilities right here, they're not really for use. They're just there to give you the weapon damage bonus passive from Slayer. And we have a 12% bonus from just slotting these 4 fighters' good abilities: Dawnbreaker, Hunter, Preservation, and Barb Trap. These 3 abilities on the front bar is what you'll be using on the back bar. These Endless Hail and Ritual Ret, which hits really hard if you watched my B-Hop videos, is going to be your main 2 dots. In terms of survivability and so forth, you can slot Restoring Focus, Repentance, and Elude. Now, Major Evasion can be pretty helpful in a lot of arenas where there's a lot of AoE telegraphs, AoE damage going out. So I would highly recommend this, or if you don't want to do that, you could also just slot a Vigor or another Fighter's Guild ability on the back bar. And you want to make sure you have an Adric Spear ability on the back bar as well, since you already have one on the front bar, and that gives you crit damage on both bars. That's really pretty much it for Templar. Pretty straightforward. If you guys have any questions about this build or setup or whatever about Maelstrom Arena, let me know down in the comments below and I'll try to answer them when I can. Anyway guys, Thanksgiving is coming up. Hopefully you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully you stay safe. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching the video, and if you want to support the growing channel, just click that subscribe button and that'll be it. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.